Hello, I'm Chris Kennedy. Today's space engineering lecture is about strategic thinking, leadership, and project management. So strategic thinking is the context of achieving success of an endeavor, which is important when you're thinking about starting a business or defining a space or any kind of project or program. So strategic planning does not deal with the future decisions. It deals with the fertility of present decisions. What we have to do today is to be ready for the uncertain tomorrow. So let's think about that. So strategic thinking is a planning process that applies innovation, strategic planning, and operational planning to develop business strategies that have a greater chance for success. More and more organizations and companies are learning the past experiences are not always the best basis for developing future strategies. So it's an evolving effort to continuously improve your company or your project and strategically think how to best fit in the upcoming markets. Strategic thinking is defined as a mental or thinking process applied by an individual in the context of achieving success in an endeavor. As a cognitive activity, it produces thought. So this could be done by individuals or groups of individuals for a company or project, etc. When applied, strategic thinking involves the generation and application of unique insights and opportunities intended to create competitive advantage. It can be done individually as well as collaboratively among key people who can positively alter a vision or future. So group strategic thinking may create more value by enabling a proactive and creative dialogue where individuals gain the people's perspectives on critical and complex issues. This is regarded as a benefit in highly competitive and fast changing landscapes. So, having a diverse group of individuals with different backgrounds and cultures and different experiences actually enhances the strategic thinking. Strategic thinking is about seeing wholes, all of something. So, the totality or the holistic aspect of something. It is a framework for seeing interrelationships rather than the things themselves. It is seeing patterns of change rather than static snapshots, a sensibility for the subtle interconnectedness that gives living systems their unique character. It is about seeing the interdependencies between the different components and parts of the system, or even different organizations that are a part of the endeavor. It recognizes the dynamic, complex, and interdependent nature of systems, system of systems, if you will. Levels of strategic thinking are strategic. There's a strategic level, which is about the vision, the organizational strategy. There's an operational level, which are the initiatives, the programs. And then there's the tactical level, the implementation part of it, the actual projects of those programs. Strategic thinking is about systems. Thinking is a holistic approach to analysis that focuses on the way that a system's constituents, parts interrelate and how systems work over time and within the context of a larger system. The systems thinking approach contrasts with traditional analysis, which studies systems by breaking them down into their separate elements, such I have been teaching and lecturing. So this is an opportunity to think and take a step back, look at the bigger picture and how the bigger picture and how these parts interconnect. System thinking can be used in any area of research and has been applied to the study of medical, environmental, political, economic, human resources, and educational systems, among many others. System thinking, this is from the Systems Architecture by Danny Selva and others, is in the upper right corner. This is their perspective as a system is a set of entities and their relationships whose functionality is greater than the sum of the individual entities. A system is made up of entities that interact or are interrelated. A system is a set of entities and their relationships whose functionality is greater than the sum of the individual entities. Again, the aspect of the totality of the holistic view. When the entities interact, they appear as a function that is greater than the functions of the individual entities by themselves. Systems, systems simultaneously have characteristics of form and function. Remember, the function is what the system does, form is what the system is. Every system operates as a part of one larger system or several larger systems, and each is itself composed of smaller systems. So think holistically about all these relationships and develop architectures that are in harmony with the larger, smaller, and related systems. A complex system has many elements or entities that are highly interrelated, interconnected, and interwoven, those interdependencies between them. So the concept of systems thinking addresses 6 areas. Interconnectedness is that everything is connected or reliant upon something else. Synthesis is the combining of 2 or more things to create something new. Emergence is the natural outcome of things coming or interacting together. Feedback loops is the constant flow between these entities. Causality is about being able to understand the way things influence each other in a system. So if you think about the interfaces, and you can have interfaces, from the standpoint of systems in a system thinking approach, not just physical interfaces. Systems mapping is identification and mapping the elements of things within a system to understand how they interconnect, relate, and act in a complex system. And from here, unique insights and discoveries can be used to develop interventions, shifts, or policy decisions that will dramatically change the system in a most effective way. So you can think of this from a large, high level perspective, such as politics. You can also think it from the world perspective, between countries and or agencies. But you also can think of it from the standpoint of the aspects of this interconnectedness and how these interconnections are important to the overall systems. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about innovation, which is a part of the systems thinking. It's a multidisciplinary thinking that changes the architecture. So innovation, you change the purpose, you change user behavior, you change in process, or change in the business model. So innovation can be thought of in several ways. You have sustaining innovation, an innovation that does not affect existing markets. You have evolutionary or managed innovation, which improves a product in an existing market in ways that customers are expecting, like fuel injection, perhaps. Revolutionary is to protect and lead. It's a discontinuous radical. It is unexpected, but nevertheless does not destroy existing markets like an automobile. It is disruption to someone somewhere, such as the people that had horse and buggies. Disruptive innovation is driven, an innovation that creates a new market by applying a new paradigm, such as the Model T Ford and or smartphones. So black swan theory event, and this is very important aspect to kind of get an understanding of. It's an event that, for example, the 9/11 tower, smartphone, or coronavirus is not foreseen by those affected, has a major effect, and is viewed incorrectly in hindsight as foreseeable. So the coronavirus is a black swan event. It has changed many aspects of life and work, and not just here, but around the world. and has really changed a lot and have forced us to rethink how we do things, to rethink the innovations of using electronics, to use video conferencing to hold meetings and to do classrooms, etc. So it is unexpected, even in general, due to the psychological bias of normalcy, a condition that you think tomorrow will be the same and go on forever, but it does not. In business, a black swan event is often created by disruptive innovation and requires innovation to respond. What makes an organization or company subject to black swan event? They think they're too big to fail. They're highly stable, economically low on reserves, lack of diversity in its underlying products. Boeing might be a good example in looking at their aircraft. The airline industry has scaled way back in the flights and the number of passengers, which has affected the need for new aircraft. So let's move on to think about innovators' solution. So think about the fence innovation resources. You want to fence off innovation resources in your company or business and set aside a budget for resources for innovation because you're investing in the future and you don't know if you're going to be doing evolutionary, revolutionary, or disruptive. Obviously, disruptive will have the biggest payoff, but you don't get there unless you set aside resources to pursue these innovations. Protect the innovators from the status quo. Be willing to cannibalize your own products before the competition does. So don't always think that you're always going to produce the same widget or product forever and ever. Look at and think about your strategic thinking about the future and how you may take your product and either reuse it, repackage it, or cannibalize it to make something new. Use different enables. So different process, team, organization, tools. So by using different, looking at it differently and using different processes or a different team, it opens up new ideas, new thinking. Redefine your problems. Don't just sit there and think this is the same problem over and over. Reconsider it, rethink it, and let vision drive the solution. So here is a chart dealing with problem-solving process. Now, some of this you've familiar with, but I wanted to give you a different perspective of it. So you have the different stages on the left: problem as given, problem chosen, which could be a goal, problem defined, solution chosen, solution implemented. And so if you follow the chart itself, you have explore potentials and realities, problem screening and selections, data mining and information gathering. I like to call that the research, idea finding and brainstorming, evaluations, that's the analysis part of it, rapid prototyping and testing and development, decision making, participation, planning, and solution implemented. So I'd like to shift a little bit and talk about leadership, the capacity to translate vision into reality. So one of the things when I was in school, I didn't get much in the way of teachings or guidance in the way of leadership or project management. So later on, when I was working at NASA over my 30 years, I took a lot of courses in leadership and project management to better understand the aspects of them. So from a leadership is the action of leading a group of people or an organization. Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. That's why I want and teach aspects or lecture on vision, mission, goals, and objectives. Leadership is both a research area and a practical skill encompassing the ability of an individual or organization to lead or guide other individuals, teams, or entire organizations. As a process of social influence in which a person can enlist the aid and support of others in the accomplishment of a common task. So let's talk about project leadership. It is leading the project team members and stakeholders towards a common project goal. Well, of course, a common project vision, mission, and goals. Getting things done through the project team members, relying and trusting your team members to do the work that they are assigned, and not micromanaging and doing it for them. So that is leading with respect and trust. Communicating is so important. Communicating, motivating, inspiring the project team. Maintaining the vision, strategy, and communicating project performance, evaluating performance of the project team. That is project leadership. There are several project leadership qualities that are part of leadership in general. It inspires a shared vision, is a good communicator, has integrity, is enthusiastic, has empathy towards the people you're working with, empathy towards the program, the project management, and others at large. They're competent, they have the ability to delegate tasks, cool under pressure, have team building skills and problem solving skills. So teamwork is the ability to work together towards a common vision, the ability to direct individual accomplishments toward organizational objectives, the fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. Teamwork is so important in that we rely on each other and work with each other. So you have to be respectful, you have to be trustworthy, you have to have integrity and competence and do your job and work together and with empathy towards each other. And that's how you achieve great teamwork. Team building is important as well. There needs to be open communications and open dialogue. If there's disagreements, have the discussion, but don't yell at each other, don't argue about it. Have a good dialogue discussion about it. So communications is one of the key aspects of team building. Have regular interaction among all the team members. Have maybe a weekly or bi-weekly meeting with all the team members where you can bring them together to discuss what's working and what's not working. Not just the technical aspects, but also the other aspects of the project. Have positive feedback and rewards based on performance. Have flexible time in the schedule. Don't be so rigid. Allow people to have some flex time in case certain things come up. Just remember that you have to have a life work balance. You need to have that important and allow people to be able to take some time off, to go do something, to stay home with a sick child. Regularly solicit feedback from the customers and the stakeholders, and be customer focused. Provide appropriate training to increase the team member skills, and that's really important. Here's some key characteristics of highly effective teams. They have a clear direction, appropriate team composition or skills, disciplines, commitment to roles and responsibilities. It's important that everyone knows their role and responsibility. Write that down. That should be part of the project plan. Effective communications, both verbally and written. Adequate resources, so important, of course. Focus on quality and customer satisfaction. Innovation and continuous improvement. Cooperation with others, appropriate consequences when the work is not done or completed as laid out, and positive results. Focus on the positive aspects. I've run a number of Tiger teams at NASA over the years, and I've learned a few things about Tiger teams. So Tiger Teams was created by the press during Apollo 13 mishap. First Tiger Team was a mission control team that had to rapidly figure out how to return the astronauts safely back to Earth. The term Tiger Team became known as a temporary expert problem-solving team. It's usually short duration, small team. That and many other successes made Tiger Teams part of NASA's culture. Tiger Teams are often used in high-profile crisis or rapid result problem solving. Practical practical, methodical understanding is important. The ability to comprehend how all the parts of the problem fit together to satisfy the requirements of the goal, the vision, mission, goals, and objectives. Here are some Tiger Team characteristics. There can only be one leader. It has diversity of the people and the disciplines involved. It is customer focused. It is risk-based decision making. A small team of subject matter experts with additional support through those subject matter experts. There's usually co-located into one building or one location, enabling brainstorming with tools, roll up the sleeve mentality, focused on problem solving, results oriented, and rapid prototyping. A lot of creativity, thinking outside the box, and using innovation techniques. Brainstorming from cooperative building on each other's ideas of those participants. Looking at root cause analysis, risk analysis, and benefit analysis. So problems are defined as obstructed goals, and problems have three characteristics. They have the present state, the goal state, and the obstruction. So problem-solving processes combine rational problem solving, which is defining the problem, and creative problem solving, which is finding solutions. Problem solving influences teamwork, the content and process skill requirements, participants selection, and team leadership structure. Allow the team to physically function as an exceptionally high level of intensity and performance. So co-locate them and remove their distractions, remove their other work that they're having to do so they can focus totally on this subject that they're working on. So some of the tools that Tiger teams use are root cause analysis, the Kemper-Tregnig problem specifications, fishbone diagrams, problem restatement, pattern searching, benchmarking, and others. So there are leadership opportunities out there, many aspects. And so you will have these opportunities, and when they come along, seize the day. Step up. Even if you don't think you can do the job, step up and be a leader. So Tiger teams will form in your projects, your design projects at universities, or even projects when you get hired. You see an opportunity to step up and help or do more than what you're assigned. That is leadership opportunities. Aspects in integrated design, rapid prototyping teams, technology development, obviously in projects, integrated testing, situational leadership. Take control of a situation, step up, be that person. So let's talk a little bit now about project management. The best project managers are also outstanding leaders. So project management is the discipline of initiating, planning, executing, controlling, and closing the work of a team to achieve specific goals that meet success criteria. A project is a temporary endeavor designed to produce a unique product, service, or result with a defined beginning and end, usually time constrained and often constrained by funding or deliverables, undertaken to meet unique goals and objectives, typically to bring out the beneficial change or added value. The temporary nature of projects stands in contrast with business as usual or operations, which are repetitive, permanent, or semi-permanent functional activities to produce products or services. In practice, the management of such distinct production approaches requires the development of distinct technical skills and management strategies. Project management is the application of knowledge, skills, the people, tools, and techniques or processes to project activities to meet the project requirements. So the basic rules are clearly state objectives and expectations, planning expertise through attention to detail, avoid duplication of effort, evaluation of sequence of activities, integrate and coordinate workflow, monitor and control, and have one gatekeeper of the schedule in the schedule management. Responsibilities are organize, coordinate, and direct the project, resolve conflicts between team members, lead the team project to project success, communicate well-defined requirements and standards to the project team. Project management, they have vision, they motivate, they bring people together, and they accomplish great things. So a project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. Project characteristics with operations, they're performed by people, personnel. They're not done in a vacuum or just by computers. However, in AI, as it's coming forward, someday maybe perhaps they will be. It is constrained by limited resources. It is constrained by limited schedule. And it requires planning, execution, and controlling. So project lifecycle phases are similar. You have concept phase, development phase, implementation phase, and then closeout. There are 5 factors in the success of a project. The agreement among the project team, customer, and management pertaining to the clear goals of the project. Arriving at clear goals together can be invigorating and powerful for the team, working together to set the goals of the project. A plan that shows an overall path and clear responsibilities, roles and responsibilities, and will be used to measure the progress during the project. So plan the scope of the work and work the plan. Constant, effective communications among everyone involved in the project. People are your most important resources. They are the ones that complete the project. A controlled scope manages stakeholders' expectations. Watch out for scope creep. Don't let additional things sidetrack you or take you down a rabbit hole. And management support. Remove any organizational obstacles for your team to be successful. So in the project management phases, the concept phase or definition phase is about state the project, develop the objectives, develop the work breakdown structure, and identify the resources needed and the requirements. In the planning phase, you assign responsibilities, role and responsibilities. You sequence deliverables, you schedule those deliverables, you schedule the resources, and you protect the plan. During the implementation phase, you start to implement, or you have a kickoff, you monitor the project progress, you modify the project as you move through it and obstacles or other issues come up. And so you work the plan. And then you do your closeout and evaluate and capture lessons learned. So here are some learning tenets. A tenet is the principle or belief, especially one of the main principles of a religion or philosophy. And here are 5 learning disciplines. There's personal mastery, which is expand our personal capacity, which encourages all its team members to develop themselves toward the goals and purpose. Mental models, reflection, clarifying, improving on how our internal view of the world and seeing how they shape our actions and decisions. A shared vision, building a sense of commitment in a group by shared images of the future we seek to see, to create, and the actions by which we get there. Team learning, transform conversational and collective thinking skills so the team can develop intelligence and the ability greater than the individual by working together. And then systems thinking, a language for describing and understanding the forces of and interrelationships that shape behavior of the system, helps us to see the change systems to be more effective and agile in the larger world and society. So here's some management lessons learned I have from over the years. Lead by example, credibility, do what you say you're going to do, technical truth, never bluff an answer. If you don't No, say so, and then go find out the answer. Show respect, even when you disagree. Confidence, take control when needed. Courage, have the strength of your convictions. Trust, trust your team, trust yourself. Integrity, knowing what you know and what you think, your values. Dress for success, recognize the political environment in which you are working in and understand how it is changing and how you may have to adapt to that environment. Build relationships with your team, with your managers, with your stakeholders, with your customers. Delegate. You cannot do it all by yourself. You have to rely on others and let them do their job. Other aspects is don't be a perfectionist. Don't micromanage the people doing the work for you. Let them do their job. Be humble. Have empathy towards your people. Be mindful and respect and present. So be mindful and present. Focus and limit distractions. Put down your phone, turn it off. Focus on your task at hand. During meetings, pay attention. If you're on your phone during a meeting, get out of the meeting. You don't need to be in the meeting if you're not paying attention. Listen more than you speak. And that's hard for a lot of people. It is really important to listen and understand what you're hearing before you speak up. Communicate clearly and effectively. Don't assume somebody is thinking like you or knows what you know. Recognize your strengths and weaknesses. And in identifying those weaknesses, take steps to improve. Take courses or, classes to improve those weaknesses. Don't be arrogant or obstinate. I have come across many of people when I was working on various projects at NASA that they thought they knew everything and they were very arrogant and obstinate. So they would not listen to you nor have a decent conversation about it. So, that you are always correct or know it all is the wrong way to be. There is a time and place to joke around. Not everyone has the same sense of humor. It can come off as flippant or be taken out of context and considered racist or otherwise. So don't joke around. There's a time and place at the bar, out with your friends, whatever the case may be, but not necessarily in a business meeting. And we succeed together and we fail together. There is no I in team. Walt Guy worked at NASA for 50 years and he mentored me in many aspects. And he had a list or a book of management tenets. And I want to share a few here with you. And you can read through them all at a later time. So I'm only going to cover a few of them. As I mentioned earlier, communication is your most difficult task. You must continually work at improving it. Words create impressions and pictures in the mind of the hearer and the reader. Your success may depend upon your selection of those words. Hard words stir up passion. Soft words cultivate objectivity. Choose carefully and enhance your communication. Perception, factual or not, is reality to the one perceiving. Personal credibility is your most important attribute. It is hard to acquire, but easily lost. Have zero tolerance for any consideration of reneging on a commitment, either by yourself or your subordinate or whoever's doing the task for you. If you don't honor your commitments, you and your organization will have no credibility. There's an analogy in the management to the rule of power or rule in power. Don't bet anything you can't afford to lose. And it is, don't introduce an option during negotiation, which if taken, you lose. Remember, if you put it on the table in negotiations, you must be willing to have it accepted. When you screw up, you give up the right to look good, both you and your organization. Conflict occurs when you oppose that what your supervisor wishes you to do. To avoid conflict, make your case, then change sides. Corollary, conflict is inevitable, but combat is optional. Everyone loses in a battle. Let's see, the most important person in an organization is the keeper of the vision. You can't manage effectively without one. Corollary, when you are making decisions, don't fall into the trap of piecemeal decisions, which, without a great deal of discipline on your part, will be subsequently sub-optimized such that the end result may not be the best outcome. Do your job. Insist on employees doing theirs. Don't confuse employee empowerment with management abdication. It's not an option to empower someone else to do your job. A project of intermittent scope cannot be managed. Both requirements and constraints are mandatory for project management. Dead-end work is a rabbit trail off the path to ultimate progress. Diligently avoid dead-end work. Don't avoid formalizing agreements, decisions, assignments, comments, problems, recommendations, etc. with a written record. It is more than history, it is insurance. So you want to formalize agreements, you want written records. And don't mistake activity for progress. So what's the difference between leadership and management? Leaders innovate, develop, inspire trust, have a long-range perspective, ask why, challenge the status quo, and look to what you are capable in the future. Managers are administrators. They administer the project and resources. They maintain the project and the resources. They control the project and resources. Have a short-range perspective, ask how and when, maintain the status quo, and look to what you can do now. So in summary, strategic thinking is a planning process that applies innovation, strategic planning, and operational planning to develop strategies that have a greater chance of success. It is defined as a mental or thinking process applied to an individual in the context of achieving success in an endeavor. Leadership is the action of leading a group of individuals, team, or entire organizations. Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. Leadership as a process of social influence in which a person can enlist the aid and support of others in the accomplishment of a common task. Project management is the application of knowledge, resources, skills, people, and techniques or processes to project activities to meet the project requirements. It is the discipline of initiating, planning, executing, controlling, and closing the work of a team to achieve specific goals and meet specific success criteria. So thank you for listening. I hope this was helpful to give you an insight into leadership, strategic thinking, and project management.